Hello and welcome to this video guide on getting started with GM-widgets. So what is GM-widgets? GM-widgets is a GameMaker Studio asset that's designed to help you develop user interfaces in GML. So as many of you probably already know, designing the GUI can be quite a painful task in GameMaker. There aren't a lot of tools out of the box for you to start designing any kind of user interface. There are some user interfaces on the marketplace, but a lot of these didn't have the flexibility and the open-endedness that I was looking for in a widget toolset or a user interface toolset. So the goal of gm-widgets basically is to help you design and develop your user interface so that you can make effective user interfaces without too much hassle. We want to take care of click handling, we want to take care of mouse hovering, we want to take care of movement of the interface. If you want to be able to drag the interface around. The example that I'll be showing is using window panels or movable panels, but that's just one example of how we can start to implement widgets that have their own logic and their own characteristics. So in this guide, I'm wanting to cover getting started with gm-widgets. I want to go over the API and what it looks like to use gm-widgets, and then maybe we'll start off with an actual demonstration of what it is before we get into those two. So we'll jump right into the demo of the demo. So as you can see, we have 4 panels on the screen right now, and as I mentioned earlier, these panels are what I'm going to demonstrate first, but the widget system is not limited to just using obviously panels. The idea of the panels is just to demonstrate how we can containerize user interface objects in a way where we can then customize it to be a part of that container. And that's important with a user interface when you start to create systems that are more I say object oriented, but in GameMaker obviously it's limited to how object oriented you can be until 2.3, but we are containerizing everything in a way where we're storing all of this logic inside of an object. So we have these 2 basic panels here, the red and the blue, and then we have the green and the white, which are actually using sprites, and they're being drawn with sprites. So with the basic panel, you can see we can click it, we can move it around, we handle all of the movement logic, so click and drag functionality is all taken care of there. When you hover over everything, you can see the hovering event is taking place on all of these items. It doesn't matter where it is on the screen, it's going to be able to process it and register those mouse events, for example. So the other thing is obviously depth management. So we're managing the depth on all of these panels, these widgets. When we click them, we're wanting to change the depth. So we're bringing it to the front, putting it to the back. And this obviously works for all of them. And you can see there it's rendering all of them the way you would expect there. Now obviously this is not a good example for a good user interface, but it does demonstrate how we can do that. And you'll notice here the hovering events and things like that. These events are all precise and taking note of all of the space here, so it's not limited. Being able to demonstrate the containerization of these widgets here is important. So if we go here and we scroll down, you can see that everything is containerized inside of this boundary, or the content boundary that we've defined for the panel 2. So everything that I'm adding, each one of these blue boxes here is its own widget. It's an OBJ button extension. So each one that we've added is just adding it to where we're positioning it. We're telling it where we want it to sit inside of this panel. And later on we could add things like, if anyone is familiar with CSS, we could have different styling positioning types, like a div positioning or stacking positioning, and where it automatically positions things for you. That may not be super relevant, but it could be useful for some game user interfaces, which would be a cool thing to add. But so you can also see when we scroll to a horizontal scroll here, you see we're able to horizontal scroll, and you can see I made this one, I think it was 400 or 500 or something, just to demonstrate how we can scroll in every direction if we need to. So pretty cool. You can see that I could see this becoming a very powerful tool set once it's been fleshed out a little bit more. And obviously there's a lot more that can be done with this stuff in terms of customization, and this demo won't be going over all of that, and I might make another video on some of the more advanced ways to make use of this library. But for now, this is what we've got in the demo.